Hello and welcome to the 5-Minute Film Club, where this week we're taking a trip down the rabbit hole to discover Quentin Tarantino's 1994 independent masterpiece, Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction is as much a film about filmmaking than it is actually about the story writer and director Quentin Tarantino is telling. In Pulp Fiction, we are presented with a trio of stories with characters that intertwine, sometimes playing out chronologically and other times not. But they all deal with the seedy life of Los Angeles. This was the first film that was shown to us when I started studying film at college, and I can completely see why it was chosen for us. As I said at the beginning, this is a film that really revels in the process of filmmaking and storytelling. Roger Ebert, when he first reviewed the film, said he didn't know whether it would end up being the best film of the year or the worst. Genius always follows that fine line between madness, and this is a film that certainly has madness in spades. With Pulp Fiction, Tarantino was a young, exuberant, fresh director. There are numerous different camera angles and movements that act as little markers for the audience. Tarantino is beckoning us into the film. Actually, one of my favourite moments of the film comes very early on when we're following Vincent and Jules up to the apartment to try and rescue the briefcase back. And it is such a long shot that takes us all the way up to the door. But there is one moment where Jules takes Vincent off down the corridor a little bit, and suddenly the camera becomes an extra character. We almost feel like another gang member hanging back, observing these two characters, seeing which one we feel is the leader. And aside from the camera movements, the actual setting of the film in Los Angeles, where it's always sunny, it makes it a stark difference from the films that it is homaging from the 1930s and 40s that generally took place in New York or Chicago. This is full of colour and life and energy. The script was developed by Tarantino over many years with his friend Roger Avery, who provided the Butch storyline. But when Tarantino was renting a place in Amsterdam with the money he got from Reservoir Dogs, that the film really started to take shape. And when the script was finally finished, he started sending it around to studios, but nobody wanted to touch it. Danny DeVito, who is an executive producer of Pulp Fiction, was going to produce the film for TriStar Pictures, but they ultimately passed, like all the other studios did, because of his excessive violence and drug use. It was eventually Miramax, with a deal with Disney. Yes, you heard that right. Disney.
Oh, fuck's happening now, man? Why the fuck you do that?
That eventually got Pulp Fiction off the ground and into cinemas. Aside from launching the career of its boisterous director/writer, it worked great favours for Samuel L. Jackson, who suddenly, in a space of 154 minutes, became the actor we and the studios loved to see. It also gave then washed-out John Travolta a much-needed jolt. Quentin Tarantino wanted the part of Vincent Vega to go to John Travolta pretty much from the off. And actually, it was part of his ultimatum when dealing with the Weinsteins to get the final say on the cast for the film. They said to him, sure, have whatever you like, final cut, but do us one thing. Stay away from John Travolta. Eventually, Tarantino got his own way. He managed to persuade Bruce Willis to come on board, at the time riding high on the success of Die Hard, and so the Weinsteins were a bit more comfortable with the fact of John Travolta being in their film. Pulp Fiction is a film that continues to engage and entertain audiences, and I don't see that ever changing. When you start getting into film and filmmaking and film history even, there are films like Pulp Fiction that pop up every now and again just to give the audience a bit of a shake and to wake things up. The 1990s became another boom decade for the independent cinema market, which was definitely helped by the success of Pulp Fiction. It allayed a lot of fears that big studios had with taking on young directors and their work untested. And Pulp Fiction, as it was said at the time, acted like an adrenaline shot into the heart of Hollywood. Hello, thank you very much for watching the review. So the film that I will be reviewing next week is, strangely enough, another big film from 1994. I will be reviewing The Shawshank Redemption. So if you want to get in touch with me about your thoughts on Pulp Fiction or any other films that I've reviewed, then please Follow me on Twitter, go to Facebook, go to the website, let me know your thoughts, and I'll see you next week for the review of Shawshank. Thank you very much.